Hello, hello, hotties. I am so glad you made it today. And even if you are not necessarily here at this exact moment and you're here on the replay, it's all good. I'm still glad you're with us. Bear with me as I get my screens together. So today's session, I'm going to attempt to move fairly quickly. I decided it's going to be pretty short. I decided to add two sessions together again. So also, guys, heads up. I'm presenting from the couch today. I'm being a little comfortable, and I got my little buddy next to me. So hopefully he will cooperate and be quiet the entire time. Fingers crossed. Anyway, I didn't get any questions regarding the last few weeks. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and skip the reviews for time's sake. You know what, again, guys, it's all pretty basic and everything is in your notes and they do an amazing job of breaking it down. And you've got your replay videos. If you are missing them, please let me know and I will get the links to you. And we will go from there. All right, hotties, let's go ahead and dive in. This week, we're going to go over vitamins and minerals and how they affect the body. So if y'all know me personally, you know I am a complete nature nut, and I could talk about this stuff all day long. So I am going to do my absolute very best to keep it as short as possible, because you know me, I like to talk, especially about this stuff. Let's go ahead and dive in. We'll run through the videos for both chapters 8 and 9, and then we're going to do a really quick review and get into the good stuff. Most people have only a vague idea of what vitamins do. These substances, although tiny in amounts, are quite potent and essential for several bodily processes. Vitamins are not made inside the body. However, vitamins themselves are not true foods. They do not supply energy or turn into tissue. They do not function like proteins, carbohydrates, or fats. Instead, vitamins serve purpose or respond. They are necessary to make existing processes work properly or optimally. In technical terms, vitamins are substances that regulate a variety of everyday biological functions in your body. Today, the human body is made up of nearly 13 different vitamins. Oh, whoops, you know what? I think there was more to that section. I'm sorry, guys. Silly me. Let's go back. Vitamins are classified into two categories based on their solubility in either fat or water. The fat-soluble group includes vitamins A, D, E, and K. Upon consumption, these vitamins are stored and can accumulate in your body. The water-soluble group includes all B vitamins, as well as vitamin C. Water-soluble vitamins freely travel and food sources. All right, y'all, so I discovered something about halfway through that video. When I have my earphones plugged in, it wasn't giving you sound. So that second video, you actually watching it is just perfect. It's basically just giving you the vitamins and their natural food sources. But I do want to make sure that we get some stuff in chapter 1. So I'm going to replay that real quick, or in the first part, excuse me. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on, but essentially make your own decision which supplements are appropriate for you. My internet's fine, huh? Minerals come from the foods we eat. They are an essential group of nutrients that, in the body, act like control agents. They help with energy conversion, cell reproduction, and other bodily functions and movements. Okay, y'all, pretty simple stuff. Bear with me because normally I present through PowerPoint, but it's been a little funny with the screen share, so I'm going to attempt to do this from Google Slides, and hopefully everything will go through. And I just plugged my headphones back in. I noticed when I tried to listen to it on my phone, the sound was kind of conjumbled. So if y'all didn't get that, please let me know so that I can make sure to send you a better copy. For whatever reason, when I do these one-on-one, they do great, but in these group webinar settings, they just get a little funny. Also, a heads up, the other thing that I noticed when I was testing this webinar earlier was that when I switched to when I was looking on my computer, it was really fuzzy, but when I looked on my phone, it was super clear. I don't know what that's about. So if y'all could give me some feedback later on and let me know what you come across, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So anyway, let's dive back in so we can get to getting. All right, so my notes are falling here. Okay, Hadi, so that was like I said, it was pretty basic information. You probably know most of that stuff. Maybe the sources were something new, but hopefully you were able to gather something from it. So one thing I definitely want to clarify is the difference between vitamins and minerals. We hear them used interchangeably, or at least in conjunction on a regular basis. So on the surface, they basically look the same, but vitamins and minerals they kind of differ in a couple of basic ways. So vitamins are organic and they can be broken down by heat, air, or acid. So in chemistry, organic means carbon containing, okay? So any substance that contains the element carbon is considered organic. So that's not to be confused with the common term organic that we see in the grocery store, which meaning, free of pesticides. That's completely different. So in chemistry, organic means containing carbon. So on the flip side, minerals are inorganic, okay? So they hold on to their chemical structure. Minerals do not contain carbon. So that means that minerals in the soil and water easily find their way into your body through plants, fish, animals, fluids, basically the things that you consume. So, FYI, all vitamins and their natural food sources are in your Chapter 8 notes. That's all the stuff that we just ran through. The videos ran through. All of that stuff is in your Chapter 8 notes. So there's one thing I'd like to say right off top. Is this video mentioned that we need 13 vitamins? I'm actually gonna say that there are a total of 16 essential vitamins we need on a daily basis. And all of this is listed in your follow-up notes. Also, vitamins are not produced in your body, so we definitely need to be consuming them through our food and or through supplementation, which we'll go into shortly. So vitamins also, they're not considered true foods. So basically with vitamins, they don't supply energy, nor do they turn into tissue like proteins do. They also don't work quite like fats or carbohydrates. So they've been kind of compared to as acting as a catalyst or kind of like a spark plug, okay? So vitamins are necessary to make processes work optimally. So to keep it simple, vitamins are substances that regulate a big variety of biological functions within your body. So the quantity of each vitamin that you need, it's going to vary from vitamin to vitamin. And I'm also going to say that it's going to really vary from person to person as well. But RDA, or your recommended daily allowance, that's a good place to start. Me personally, I like to take my RDA and at least double it. Your body, it's very rare in situations where we can kind of OD on vitamins. I mean, it is possible, but it's rare, extreme situations. Your body will know what to do when it has too much. It will just excrete it, okay? So also, please, please, please make note that vitamins do not work independent of each other, okay? So throughout this whole course, what's been the key word? Balance. So that means you can't just take one vitamin and not the others, okay? So the same is also true with minerals. So for example, calcium, you can't just take calcium and expect it to work efficiently. Calcium needs magnesium along with a few others, or many others actually, but magnesium in particular to make it function properly. Same with zinc and copper, they go hand in hand. So please remember, if you're thinking about supplementing, you want to take a balanced approach. Definitely don't waste your money on single supplements. Okay, so that's the end of my rant. So finally, vitamins are categorized into two groups. Now, the first group's going to be your fat-soluble vitamins, and those are going to be A, D, E, and K. Vitamins A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Now, these need to be taken in with proper fats in the diet to help assimilate them in the body. So that's why we always hear about essential fatty acids. Okay, so these are also more heat stable than water soluble vitamins, and vitamins. So that also means that they incur less damage during food preparation. So that's a good thing. So sidebar, ladies, this is where we're going to want to lightly steam or eat our fruits and veggies raw as much as possible, because again, we don't want to be killing the nutrition that's in there. And then the second category, of course, is water soluble vitamins. And they're pretty much the opposite. They need water instead of fat, but they need water to be assimilated in the body. So hopefully by now the puzzle pieces are starting to fit together. We know our bodies need constant energy, so we need to be eating regularly throughout the day, and we need to be eating a variety of fresh food rather, not just fruit, but food in general to get the vitamins that we need. And then finally, obviously, we want to follow up with consistent socials, getting that water in to help deliver the nutrients throughout our bodies as well. So now that we know kind of why the standard advice is to eat smaller, more frequent meals, drink lots of water, and of course, eat your colors, because there's a lot of different nutrients in different colors of foods. So, all right, hotties, let's go ahead and move on. All right, so that brings us to minerals. Now, if vitamins are the spark plugs, then you want to think of minerals as kind of like the control agents. So they play a pretty significant role in energy production, cell reproduction, and body maintenance overall. So your notes list 18 minerals, but I'm going to take it way further and say that you really need about 60 different essential minerals every day. Okay, a lot of studying and a lot of people who I'll say in the natural health industry all pretty much balance around 50 to 60 different essential minerals. Personally, I like to err on the side of caution. I'm going to say 60. So, don't worry, that entire list of 60, that's going to be in your follow-up notes. Also, you're going to see an asterisk next to fluorine in your notes. Now, there's a lot of debate on that one and how it affects the body, especially according to one's genetics, okay? So, well, to go into it right now would kind of be beyond the scope of this session. So I definitely suggest doing some homework on this one. But in the meantime, it's on the list in the supplemental video of but I'll just say I'm going to leave it at that without getting too sciencey. And that is the technical term, sciencey. But fluorine, I personally tend to move away from fluorine. There are some arguments for and there are some arguments against, but I just wanted to give you a heads up why there's an asterisk next to that one. So the role minerals play, by the way, let's go ahead and finish this up. The role minerals play in our metabolism, it's really pretty vast, but it's vital. So just to give you a few examples, minerals are essential for structuring like iron's relationship to the blood cells in particular, or cobalt's relationship to B12, and sodium and potassium to control the body's fluids. So minerals, even though they don't get as much conversation, they are extremely important, and especially for those of you who are suffering from, energy needs. If you're feeling sluggish, if your body's operating sluggish. So just like vitamins, your minerals are also categorized into two groups. So the first are the major minerals, and of course they're the major ones because they're present in large amounts. And then your second group is going to be your trace minerals. Now, obviously they're trace because they're needed in smaller amounts. So when you ingest a tablet or a capsule of a commercially prepared chelated mineral product, it's immediately going to be, once it enters your mouth, it goes down your throat, down your esophagus, and it's immediately submerged into stomach acid, once it hits your stomach, right? So your stomach acid is so strong that many of the less expensive, kind of poor quality tablets, they tend to fall apart completely, all right, once they hit the stomach. So the problem with this is that it causes the protective chelate coating to be destroyed. And then the minerals, they're prematurely released and possibly destroyed in all of that stomach acid. So what does this mean? Well, it means that the mineral is destroyed before it ever reaches the villi in your small intestine. Now, do y'all remember from the chapter on digestion, the nutrients are absorbed into the body and by little hair-like projections in the intestine? I'm sorry, my dog's making a funny move here. He's kind of freaking me out. He's been yucky today. So I apologize, guys. But I'm sorry. So where was I? Yes, the chapter on digestion. So if we remember correctly, we had the little hair-like projections called villi, and that's where everything was absorbed. So the point is, this is one of the problems we run into when we consume just kind of like things like any old probiotics or any old supplements off the shelf. I hate to say it, but again, in my research and my experience, you definitely get what you pay for in the supplement world. Homework is absolutely key. Now, that's not to say just because it costs $100 for 30 tablets that it's going to be awesome. There's some shisty people out there, but overall, by and large, if you're spending $5, for an 180 tablet supply, you're kind of getting what you pay for. So just a heads up on that. But again, I just recommend that you do your own homework on that one. So, before we move forward, I do want to go back and I want to cover one quick term, excuse me, before we dive into info that's not in the notes. So, hotties, are you familiar with chelated minerals? Has anybody ever heard of that? So bear with me. This gets a little bit cumbersome, but I think once we get through this little section, it'll make sense. So the word chelate, that basically comes from the Greek word chele, which means claw. So originally it kind of referred to the clamping down or the clamping down of a crab's claw. So its relationship to chelated minerals kind of refers to the action of one or more amino acids or proteins, if we remember from our protein chapter, one or more amino acids attaching itself and completely surrounding the mineral. So when it does this, it basically creates a new complex in this protective coating. So the coating protects the mineral, all right, the chelate. So the quality of this coating, it's really going to vary from product to product. It's not, like an industry standard. Some are more durable and more efficient than others. So again, we're back to that old saying of you get what you pay for. And that, definitely comes into play with vitamins and minerals. So basically, to sum up this section, in case you're thinking you don't need to consider vitamins and minerals, on your weight management journey in particular, I'm here to tell you that your assumption is wrong, okay? These are essential for normal growth, good health, and general day-to-day maintenance. So yes, you do want to consider your nutritional support or you don't want to consider adding some nutritional support when you're creating your menus. So it's also kind of important to note that nutritional deficiencies are the reason why majority of us are pretty much over fat and we lack muscle tone. We talked about this a few sessions back. Sometimes we eat a big meal and then an hour later we kind of have the urge to munch, even though we know that we're still full. So oftentimes the body, your body's kind of searching for food, or excuse me, it's searching for nutrition. Not so much food, but nutrition. It wants actual vitamins and minerals. So even though you're stuffed, it's telling you to go eat because it didn't get nutrition. It just got stuffed. Now it wants actual nutrition. So the more prepackaged foods we consume, the worse off we're going to be. Now, having said that, yes, there are a couple of other factors that drive us to eat, sometimes emotion, stress, what have you. But most of us, by and large, can get our health under control by simply giving our bodies the raw materials it needs to function. Nutrition, vitamins, and minerals. So honestly, y'all, it's really incredibly easy. The problem is we're just never taught these things. So the easiest way to go about it is just to stick with natural foods, eat a variety of colors. The more prepackaged foods you have in your diet, the less nutrition you're going to take in. And even when it says fortified or enriched, those are some keywords to look out for, and we're going to discuss that shortly. So I also want you to think back to the session where we talked about the digestive system. So when we're eating that prepackaged, dead, kind of food-like products, we're literally robbing our bodies of what they need to break down the food. And then on top of that, we destroy the villi in the small intestine where our vitamins and minerals are absorbed. So I can't stress clean, natural foods enough, okay? So, okay, I'm sorry. End of rant two. I'll try and, keep that at a minimum. Now, here's where we're going to start to dive off a little bit into the deep end. You guys know me. I could go on and on about this. So I'm going to do my best to try and keep my rants at a minimum. And bear with me, guys. We get valet trash pickup. I just heard them run up by the door. So hopefully my dog stays quiet. All right. So again, I'm going to do my best to keep this last little bit short, and then we're going to get ready to start wrapping up. So I do want to switch gears, and I want to take a moment to talk about nutrient deficiencies, okay? This stuff is not in your notes, heads up. So those of you who know me, I've been doing medical nutrition going on a few years now. So one of the things we do with medical nutrition basically is to help people get off their prescription drugs using food and supplements as medicine, basically. So, you would be absolutely amazed at what conditions you can treat with proper nutrition and supplementation alone. Now, let's just take a moment to look at the chronic conditions as a whole, or all the chronic conditions holistic practitioners help people overcome naturally, literally every day of the week, okay? Now, this list is just a small representation of chronic disease and their root causes, or in this case, nutrient deficiencies. So take a glance. Now, I'm willing to bet you or someone is dealing with at least two or more of these conditions on that list. At least two conditions on that list. I mean, that's pretty crazy, huh? So this is why I find biochemistry so much fun. Sorry, my sound is being funny. Let me just make sure we're still getting sound here. Okay, we're good. So again, this is one of the reasons why I absolutely love biochemistry, because it's just, you'll see here in a second. It's almost like putting a puzzle together. Every piece has its proper place. So when you kind of start to study prescription drugs, what you find is that many manufacturers, they originally derived their formulas from nature. They studied nature. And then basically they found different remedies. They found a way to make a synthetic version, slapped a patent on it, and then they sell it to the public, sometimes for up to like 1,000% markup, literally. Now, hotties, this is super important that we are knowledgeable about our bodies and familiar with health standards and practices. It's also really important that we understand the words that our healthcare providers are using, because words are powerful, and we may think they mean one thing, but they're a lot of times in the medical industry, they're very careful with their wording. It may sound one way, but it may mean something else. Okay, we'll get into that here in a second. So, I want you to just make sure that you're listening to your doctor's words when he writes you prescriptions. Just make sure that you're asking questions. All right, asking questions is huge. Oh, my dog is trying to crawl over the place. I always tell everyone, do not leave until all of your questions are answered, okay? It's your doctor's job, all right? Your doctor works for you. When you leave there, you're paying him, right? Not the other way around. Too many times we let that white lab coat kind of intimidate us, all right? A lot of people, it's not uncommon, will ask more questions about their cars and their cell phones and even get second and third opinions, but not do the same for their bodies. And it sounds kind of asinine, when you think about it like that. So we have to trust our intuition, not be afraid to ask questions, even when they seem short-tempered, and say, well, I have a PhD. Awesome. Then you should be able to explain it to me without reciting what's on the pamphlet, because that happens a lot. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again, but when it boils down to it, most prescription drugs, they just manage symptoms. All right. Whereas medical nutrition, which is in terms of the way I want you guys to start thinking, it addresses root causes. So drugs aren't designed to cure you. Let me say it again. Drugs are not designed to cure you. They are designed to manage your symptoms, okay? So even chemotherapy, it's not designed to cure. There was what was the name of it? It was a very major medical study conducted by oncologists. And I think it was in like the American Journal of Oncology, a big publication. And by the way, oncologist, just in case someone isn't familiar, that's a cancer doctor. All right. So a bunch of cancer doctors got together and did I believe it was a 12-year study. And what they found is that chemotherapy, their study that they produced in their journal, chemotherapy is 97% ineffective. Okay, just let that sink in. Let me repeat that. 97% ineffective. Now, instead, doctors now speak in terms of survivability rates, or 5-year survivability rates. All right, so this is where we have to be careful and we have to hear the words. All right. In other words, if someone finds out that he or she has cancer today, and let's say they start chemo right away, same day, right? And they do chemo for a couple of months, and then they fall into a chemo-related coma, because these things do happen. Let's say they fall into a chemo-related coma after a few months, and then they continue to live on a ventilator for a total of 5 years and 1 day from when they started chemo, he or she is considered a successful chemo patient, even though they passed away at 5 years and 2 days. So do you kind of see where the play on words is? It's not curing someone. It's just giving them a 5-year survivability rate. Oh yeah, we have a 78%, positive 5-year survivability rate. What is that survivability rate? And what does that survivability rate mean? Just because I'm alive and in a coma on a ventilator, that's not surviving to me, okay? I just really want y'all to be aware of the words and what's out there. All right, let me know also if y'all want a supplemental video on that. I've got some good information on the cancer industry that will just kind of knock your socks off. It'll actually tick you off. So just heads up. So anyway, y'all, while I say all of that, I also want to say doctors do absolutely, MDs, they have a place in this world, okay? But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not usually for the sake of healing. It's just for managing. But really it all falls on us. It's our bodies, and it's up to us to even prevent the need for a doctor, all right? A lot of us, we kind of just do what we want to do and then go to the doctor to fix it. It's up to us to not even need to fix it, all right? Now, a big condition, y'all, that I want to mention, I see a lot of in my practice is high blood pressure. There's a lot of people in their 30s nowadays on high blood pressure pills. And what's scary is we're starting to see it in high school kids as well. That to me just is insane. So when I ask my clients, what was the catalyst of your high blood pressure? Some people have a few life events that kicked it off, and understandably so, but most people, they just really have no clue. And they'll say, well, what does your doctor think? Well, he doesn't know either. I don't know about y'all, but I see a problem with that, okay? So think about it like this. What if your check engine light came on in your car and you took it to the mechanic and you said, hey, my check engine light, the symptom, just came on. And your mechanic just, he took your car back, came back 5 minutes later, and the light was off. And you said, oh, awesome, what'd you do? And he tells you, I just reached behind the dash and snipped the wire. Now, would you be okay with that? Remember, your check engine light was the symptom, not the condition. Just like your high blood pressure is a symptom. It's not the condition, all right? What's the underlying cause? Okay, so your mechanic got your light to go off, but question, what made the light come on to begin with? So you get it. In this analogy, more often than not, the result we find is, a nutrient deficiency. And we're going to dive into a little bit of that here in a second. So when your body misses the raw materials it needs, we start getting warning signs or symptoms that it's in distress. The key is not to manage the symptom. Okay, my high blood pressure, and so here's a pill to lower my high blood pressure. But what caused it to begin with? We got to start looking at root causes. So I'm going to give you an example here. Let's take a moment. We're going to kind of pick on calcium because that's a biggie, and that's one that gets mentioned a lot, in mainstream media and mainstream medicine as well. It's also a mineral with many, many misconceptions. So y'all have heard me mention it in the past, right? But there are almost 200 chronic conditions in the body that all stem directly from calcium deficiencies. And what I'm telling you is not anything hidden or where'd she get this? I promise you, this is mainstream news, mainstream information. It's just something that we don't discuss. We're not made aware of, all right? So go ahead and take a glance. Here's a short list of some very common conditions, all stemming from a lack of calcium. So you may see one or two on here that you or someone is dealing with, things like depression, joint pain. Let's see, there's PMS, vertigo. These are things that I'm excited to say that I've been able to work with clients, and by getting their diet corrected and getting them on the proper supplementation, they're able to correct. So, your first instinct may be to run out and, buy a calcium supplement. But again, remember, vitamins and minerals do not work independently, of each other. They work in a synergistic fashion. So calcium, like I mentioned earlier, it's almost useless without magnesium, among a few others, all right? So I showed this to you just to remind you we want to focus on balance and quality of food. So also, while we're on calcium, let's take a look at a common ailment. Osteoporosis. Now, I really want to drive home just how much control we actually have over our bodies, all right? So check this out, hotties. When we eat a diet high in acid foods and prepackaged and processed and refined sugars and what have you, our bodies, in their infinite wisdom, they will pull calcium and phosphorus out of our bones in order to neutralize the acid within our blood, all right? So this is why we're seeing such a high incidence of osteoporosis and osteopenia and why it's growing. Majority of the people in this country, they're consuming acid-based diets. So in other words, they are not eating in balance. Now, having said that, as we know, the body, it always go into that. What's the key word? Balance. So that also means not too much alkaline. The reason why we see a lot of alkaline diets being pushed is to kind of help counterbalance the acidic diet, but we have to be careful not to go too far into the alkalinity side as well. Right? The body wants to be not too alkaline, but also not too acid. It wants to be balanced, pH balance, which I believe, oh gosh, is 7.43, or is it 7.34? I'm sorry, I don't recall right off the top of my head, but that's about neutral. All right. We all remember the pH scale from, high school chemistry. So we don't need to be going overboard on expensive alkaline water, with the exception of like illness and extreme conditions. If my husband's sick, or even my dog, if my dog has an upset tummy, I'll go get him a little jug of alkaline water. If someone is dealing with something more severe like cancer or, even autoimmune diseases like lupus and what have you, then yeah, you might want to be consuming more alkaline water to help balance the acidity within the body. All right. So overall for our bodies, our bodies are natural detoxifying systems, y'all. So please, please stop wasting money on chemical detoxes, all right? Your body is a walking, talking, detoxing regulator. So if we just honestly go the extra mile to stop putting the bad crap in and just give it what it wants, it's the natural materials, then it's going to regulate itself. And honestly, y'all, it's going to do it really pretty quickly, all right? Oh, and one last tidbit on calcium. For you milk and cheese lovers, I hate to break it to you, but your dairy, it's not contributing to your calcium intake, okay? So two things. Number one, all dairy foods are pretty much homogenized or pasteurized. And that basically means that all the healthy living enzymes and biological material is pretty much destroyed and killed before it ever reaches packaging, let alone your shelf. And then number two, how much do I want to say about this? I'll just say, even if we were able to get our milk fresh, in raw milk, because raw milk has been shown to be extremely healthy, cow's milk is for baby cows. It's for calves, all right? It's not considered a great source of bioavailable calcium, meaning it has a ton of calcium in it, but the human body, your body doesn't recognize it. So a lot of times, they'll tell us we need to drink 6 glasses or 6 cups of milk a day because, 5.5 of it's being peed out. Not to be graphic. The other thing we need to realize is when we're getting milk from commercial dairy producers, I don't want to be gross and I'm just going to say this and leave it alone. But y'all, that's majority pus and blood, and it's very little milk. So I'm sorry to be gross and I'm sorry to hurt somebody's feelings, but a lot of allergies from dairy milk as well. So I'm just going to leave it at that because I can go on all day. So I'm not going to tell you, don't eat it or drink it. I'm just going to say don't expect it to contribute to aiding in your calcium absorption. So if your doctor told you to get more calcium in and you started chugging milk, there are better quality, more effective ways to get calcium in. Far healthier ways as well without consuming foreign DNA. At the end of the day, that's consuming foreign DNA. So before we wrap up, I want to fill you in on one more thing. If and when you decide to start a vitamin regimen, understand, y'all, that it can take up to 90 days to really get in your system before you start to see and feel good results. A lot of times we give up. I used it for a month and nothing happened. Well, on average, our cells regenerate, like every 3 months or so. Some cells are a bit shorter, some cells are a bit longer. But as your cells regenerate, they're going to be regenerating with the new nutrition that you're giving them, okay? So it's important that we are patient and consistent when starting a new supplementation or a vitamin regimen or what have you. Now, key point, your cells, okay, they make up your tissues, and your tissues make up your organs. and your organs make up your bodily systems. So this is why, I always say healing becomes easy when you treat root causes, because you treat them at the cellular level. Just give the cell what it needs and it'll take care of itself. It really is that simple. I mean, you give it the raw materials it needs, it'll start to function, not only function properly, but cells will begin to destroyed cells, rather damaged cells will begin to rebuild themselves. We've even seen in cancer patients where you take all the crap out of their diet and you just start pumping solid nutrition from them into them. And literally the cancer cells will start to convert back to natural functioning cells. I can go on and on about that, y'all. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But you get the point, all right? So again, I can't stress it enough. This is why healing gets easy when you treat root causes. Give your cells the raw material they need, they'll take care of you. All right. And, remember, your cells already know what to do. They built you from a single cell. All right. So when we consume dead food, it creates an overacidic environment, which causes the cells to break down, which is basically when disease sets in. All right. So I just want you to see how basic this is. So natural medicine, it's finding diseases that were once, thought to be hereditary. Natural medicine is finding that they're not. So think of it like this. If a mother is deficient in a particular nutrient or group of nutrients that's causing a health condition, kind of like the ones we just saw in the last two charts, then she can't pass that missing nutrient on to her child. Now that child is born with the same health condition. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was genetic. And that's kind of where the term epigenetics comes in, if you've ever heard that. But again, that's another story. But this is also one of the reasons why solid prenatal care is so imperative. All right, so enough of that. I think y'all understand just how much control over our health and over our food choices, our health, how much control over our health we have by our simple food choices. All right. So when you stick something in your mouth, you're literally choosing, am I feeding my health or my cells, or am I killing them? It's a simple decision. So there's one last topic I want to run through, and that's natural versus synthetic nutrients. And I'm going to move really quickly through this one. So let me know if y'all need any of this info later on. Shoot me a PM, a text, email, what have you. Otherwise, it'll be here in the review for the replay. Okay. So I have to tell y'all, I did not do the research on this one. I got express permission from one of my favorite nutritional gurus, Minister Inky, and this is out of his book, Vegan Baby. And if y'all aren't familiar with Minister Inky, some of you may be familiar with Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi just passed away this last weekend, and Dr. Sebi was well known. He was one of the first people on record to cure things like AIDS, cancer. He was dealing with leukemia, what have you. What's so interesting about Dr. Sebi is that Dr. Sebi, the U.S. government actually took him to court because he was claiming he could cure all these health conditions. And the U.S. government was like, okay, that's not truth in advertising. Well, Dr. Sebi won his court case because he proved he could cure all these ailments, and he did it naturally with food and nutrition. Naturally, the things that we spend bajillions of dollars on every year in this country, he cured over and over and over again naturally. So the reason why I mention him is that Minister Inky is actually considered a younger Dr. Sebi. So just to kind of give you a point of reference, these guys are very reachable. I actually work with Minister Inky on a daily basis. So if you have questions, by all means, let me know, and I can kind of show you the sources. So before we wrap up, I just want to run through these last few slides so that you're familiar. Now, hotties, I'm showing you this because I don't want you to be fooled with labels, by labels with words like enriched and fortified. And also, it's important to be aware that of these terms when researching, vitamins and mineral supplement companies. All right, there's a million supplement companies out there. I just want you to know what to look at. Where are you getting the best bang for your buck? Is this a waste of time? Am I getting chemicals or am I getting actual nutrition? Not to mention, or not only is the the quality or the quantity of the nutrition important, but also the quality of the nutrition. Additionally, where was the supplement sourced and how was it packaged? Earlier, like we mentioned with chelated minerals, if that supplement was being heated during processing, then it may have already lost some or all of its nutrient value, and that happens often. All right. So just kind of glance down this look here and let's take a look at B1 and B3. So I'm looking at it here. What's the first thing y'all see under the synthetic lab version? Now, I'm sorry, but does that say coal tar? Okay, let's keep going. Now I want you to look towards the bottom at choline, excuse me. What are the first two ingredients? Ethylene and ammonia. So just in case you're wondering, ethylene is a petrochemical. Ethyl, petrol, kind of break it down. So what can we take from that? Now, we all know how healthy ammonia is for the body, right? You're cool drinking a bottle of ammonia? Like, not at all? All right. So let's look at it at the big ones we see a lot. Look at vitamin C. Synthetic forms of vitamin C are derived from hydrogenated sugar, acetone, and genetically modified fungus and GMO corn. So let me ask you, do you want something orange juice fortified with vitamin C, or do you just want to eat the daggone orange? I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be so trite, but it just really frustrates me when I see this stuff. I couldn't make it up if I wanted to. This information, by the way, it's mainstream. It takes a little bit of knowing where to dig, but once you find it, you don't have to dig far, but it's not at all a secret. Okay. So just for gits and shiggles, let's look at one more. Now, when I read through this, I almost have to laugh because it's just so incredibly crazy that these synthetic compounds are literally, they're legally able to be labeled as natural products in our food. So that's why we have to be careful when it says things like natural products. We're all aware of like the meme going around on Facebook about vanilla ice cream, and it's labeled natural products, but the natural product in it is beef, basically beaver anus juice. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be gross, but be aware, knowledge is power. So hotties, I can't say it enough. I can't stress doing your own homework. If you can't find time, make the time. Your life depends on it. Your kids, your husband, your family. If you have family members going through things and their doctors can't figure out what's wrong, here's a jump start. We got to look not at remedies, but at root causes. So also, I want you to give you a heads up when you're reading labels, go to the company pages. They're always nice and pretty, of course. But just be aware, know what you're looking at, because a lot of times they use fancy flowery language to kind of tell us that we're feeding our kids coal tar derivatives along with fake yeast and fungus, as if that wasn't bad enough. They go, oh, but don't worry, it's fortified with coal tar derivatives along with fake yeast and fungus. But they say it, of course, prettier. So, we got to start asking more questions and voting with our dollars. Just today when I was prepping for our session tonight, I saw a commercial from McDonald's on the television. And it basically stated that they've switched to 100% white chicken meat, and they removed all their artificial colors and their preservatives. So now what they're actually doing behind closed doors, I couldn't tell you. But my point is that consumers' voices are being heard and that it's affecting change. People are voting with their dollars. And so McDonald's had to force them to make some change. You've probably seen commercials for Kraft macaroni and cheese. Same thing as well. They've taken out a lot of the artificial food colorings and preservatives, the things that have been banned in Europe for years. So, also guys, think about back when, y'all, we're mostly around the same age. Think about when you got your first apartment or when you first started grocery shopping. When I think back to like Ames, Iowa, at Iowa State, there was no health food section at Hy-Vee. That just didn't exist at that time. But look at health food sections now; they're pretty vast, and we've got entire health food stores. So just again, make sure that you do your homework. Look at Europe. I again, we see where consumers' voices are being heard. There are tons of ingredients that are banned there, but they're absolutely allowed here. And it's by the same product makers. If they can take it out, if Kraft can take it out in Europe, why can't they take it out in the US? Okay. So we can take more control by shopping at farmers markets and especially at, at things like co-ops. All right. And the more we support them, the more those people can support us. The prices start to come down on that food. And also, obviously the best option is to grow our own food. But, I realize that many of us, and especially for those of you in Iowa, you've got some true winners. And then there are some of us who are just limited on space, but that doesn't mean that we can't do container gardens, deck or patio gardens, some shared co-op space. I mean, there's options out there. It's just a matter of what do we want to put, how much effort do we want to put into our health? And so basically it's just a matter of getting creative, hotties. So I know that I have rambled on a little bit longer than I intended. Actually, I'm sorry. I meant to keep it like at 30 to 40, and I think we're right at 57. But it's time to go ahead and wind down. Yes, I know I did go off script a little bit again, but I'm sorry. I take this stuff so seriously. This is literally, my life. But I realize, I just want y'all to be aware when you're reading labels. Know what it is that you're looking at. Know what it is that you're feeding your kids. A lot of the stuff in these vitamins, and we're wondering why we've got so many kids running around with ADHD and all of these conditions, a lot of this stuff directly affects the nervous system. And here we think we're giving them, healthy vitamins, but we're giving them stuff that's getting them in trouble at school, and especially with our cereals. So, okay, I'm going to stop because I'm about to rant again, but y'all get the point. Basically advertisers count on our ignorance to sell their products. And at the end of the day, it does fall on us, so I'll just leave it at that. So hotties, let's just go ahead and wrap up for the night. Again, I apologize. I didn't mean to go this long. You're going to find in your follow-up email, you'll have all the supplement notes, links to the chapter notes and the quizzes if you want to challenge yourself. And also you'll find the list of complete essential vitamins and minerals. And I think on that list, I also included essential fatty acids. So, hotties, we are done for tonight. As always, please, please, please don't hesitate to text or email me with any questions. You can text me at 832-899-4962, or you can email me at hottiewa.naughtybody@gmail.com. Excuse me, that's hottie, HOTTIEWA, naughtybody@gmail.com. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the screen and it says not body, but there is a Y on there. NAUGHTY body@gmail.com. My apologies. Anyway, hotties, thank you so much, guys. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. If you have questions about anything, don't hesitate to let me know. If you need any more supplemental information, especially when it comes to, that vitamins and minerals stuff or the information on the cancer, I will gladly send it your way. All right, ladies, peace and love. Let's not forget to social it up and have an amazing night. I will see y'all in the group tomorrow. Take care. Bye.